I'm a Dark Houston Cyclones fan. Let's discuss whether the linebackers can actually excel in 2026-27. Let's preview the Chiefs linebacker room. My name's Cole. Welcome back to Cyclone Kingdom. As training camp continues to roll on for the Kansas City Chiefs, it's time to talk about a position group that might be one of the weakest on the team. The linebackers for the Chiefs is less than ideal going into 2026 and 27, and it's because of the lack of depth. You think about when Leo Chenal left and the void that it left for the Chiefs this offseason. Technically, we're still in the offseason, but we're just a month and change away from week one, so we're really in football mode now. So when you look back to free agency and you look back to the offseason that was leading up to training camp, the Chiefs never really addressed linebacker in the way we thought they were going to. They just kind of ran it back with the guys that they have in their room. What does that mean for 2026 and 27? Well, as we go through each guy, it means that each one of them that we're about to talk about needs to play at their peak. But one guy specifically can raise the floor of this room, and it's not who you think it is. Let's talk first about Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton's the green dot of this team. He's been a leader on this team, a quarterback of the defense. Steve Spagnuolo has referred to him as the quarterback or the Patrick Mahomes of the defense. I don't think Nick Bolton is as talented at linebacker as Patrick Mahomes is at quarterback, but it's a conversation for another day. The point is that Nick Bolton is great stopping the run. He's great getting into the backfield, but he can't cover anybody out of the backfield. He can't cover any slot receiver. He can't even cover tight ends. The problem that we've had with Shamari Connor for years is the problem that we have with Nick Bolton in the linebacking room. So say what you will about the contract extension and him being a Chief for a long time. I love Nick as long as he's not in coverage. I think he's great in the middle of the field. I think he provides a lot for the Chiefs when he's able to fill the gaps and hit somebody and hit them hard. He stopped Bijan Robinson on 4th and 1 a couple of years back to seal a game for the Chiefs. Nick's got ability. He's got an opportunity in front of him to be the best linebacker the Chiefs have had in a while. He's got to figure out how to cover. Because when you think about the Derek Thomases, the Derek Johnsons, even Leo Chenal more recently, and how versatile he was, what Nick Bolton needs to be is similar to what Willie Gay has been over the past few years before he left the Chiefs. And that's this guy that can go sideline to sideline and still cover people. Now, we don't necessarily look at Willie Gay as the best cover linebacker the Chiefs have had, but he could go sideline to sideline way better than Nick could in coverage. I love Nick Bolton. I'm glad he's a Chief. I'm glad he's on this team. I'm glad he's the leader of the defense in that back end, because what he has before him is a chance to level his game up this year, and he's going to need to, because there's not a lot else in this room. Drue Tranquill, a former Charger who has come over to the Chiefs over the past few years and has provided a lot for the Chiefs. We got to work on those hands a little bit, Drue. Make sure if the ball hits you in the hands, intercept it, my guy. But what does Drue Tranquill bring to this linebacker room? Well, what he brings is a leadership, a veteran experience, and a selflessness. Guys, Drue Tranquill took less money to come back to the Chiefs this year. He came back to Kansas City because he believes in what the Chiefs are doing here. But you can't just rely on Nick Bolton and Drue Tranquill to be the linebackers that are going to be, the end-all, be-all for the Chiefs defense. That's why we're thankful for what's going on with the defensive line. That's why we're hopeful about what's going on with the secondary. I've heard a lot of good discussions from other Chiefs content creators and Chiefs news sources that are right in saying this. Linebacker is not what it once was in the NFL. You're not getting paid as much money. You're not as valuable as the Ray Lewis days or the Patrick Willis days, right? But that doesn't mean it's not important. Leo Chenal getting traded to the Washington Commanders is massive. I guess he wasn't traded, but when he was signed by the Washington Commanders, that was massive. A massive subtraction. Because Leo Chenal literally helped the Chiefs win a Super Bowl a couple years back. Blocking field goals, making plays. It's not an easy void to fill. Nick Bolton and Drue Tranquill can do as much as they can and even play well, but without a third linebacker, Without another guy to help them out, this linebacker room is in a very rough spot. Brings us to Jeffrey Bassa. I think Jeffrey Bassa is the X factor for the linebackers. I think if he plays to his caliber and he plays to the level of what the Chiefs drafted him for, we don't got to worry about the linebacking room anymore. Similar to what Cyrus Allen is bringing to the Chiefs during training camp right now, that's what Jeffrey Bassa can bring. And you've seen highlights of him at training camp, being able to make plays and to fill holes and to get into the backfield, even with Kenneth Walker back there. I've loved what I've seen from Jeffrey. Are the Chiefs going to give him an opportunity? Or are they going to go in a different direction of a couple guys we're going to talk about in just a second? Bassa is the most talented in this room from a 5-tool standpoint. There's nobody who's better equipped going sideline to sideline, playing in coverage, speed, quickness, all this different stuff than Jeffrey Bassa. He can complement Nick Bolton and Drue Tranquill very, very well. You got to put him on the field, and he's got to make plays when you put him on the field. In all of those regards, I'm stoked for Bassa. I think he's going to have a career year. I know he hasn't really had any years, so a career year for him is just going to be a really good season. He doesn't have anything to really compare it to. But I think he's going to have a breakout year. I look at Bassa at linebacker like I do Xavier Worthy at wide receiver. It's going to be a really, really good year. Not going to be these outstanding numbers, but he's going to provide so much to this defense. Because if he doesn't, who you have behind him are Cooper McDonald and Jack Cochrane. Now, Jack Cochrane and I have a very interesting relationship. I don't love Jack Cochrane because of what he's done in special teams the past couple of years. Holding penalty after holding penalty after holding penalty. He provides a little bit to the linebacking room because of his toughness. He has a little bit of that Leo Chanel, I love to hit people type of stuff. Cooper McDonald is also interesting. He was the UDFA last year that made the 53-man roster and had to be thrust into action last year because of injuries. Both those guys fill this linebacker 4 role in a way that hopefully provides depth. Now, from all we've seen so far, Cooper McDonald is actually going to be linebacker 3 for the Chiefs over Bassa. I think that changes very quickly by the time we get to week 1. And I hope it does. Because Bassa is so much more talented than McDonald, all due respect. But McDonald and Cochrane are 2 guys that, man, you really hope the potential's there. You really hope that they can go out and ball. I'm just not banking on it. I'm banking this linebacker room on Bassa being a freak athlete. And going sideline to sideline and having breakneck speed to chase down running backs and to cover guys in the slot. Or over the middle, I guess. That's what the role of these linebackers is going to be, and that's what I think the role of Jeffrey Bassa is going to be. So those are the 5 guys I really think of. There's some UDFAs that have been making plays, but nobody else really comes to mind for me. They're not going to add any free agents, it seems, to the linebacker room, which I'm fine with. I think where it's at now, you're banking on playmakers making plays. You're banking on Nick Bolton figuring out his coverage flaw. You're banking on Drue Tranquill being healthy. He's not been healthy at training camp so far. And then you're banking on the superstar ceiling for Bassa. You saw glimpses of it last year in those last few games after the Chiefs didn't have anything to play for. Can he now go do it for a full season? That's what I'm hopeful for. How would we rank the Chiefs linebacker room 1 to 10? Going into the season in terms of my confidence level, we only got to get into the actual schedule preview where you will hear firsthand my schedule prediction and my record prediction for the Kansas City Chiefs in 2026 and 27. The linebackers, if Jeffrey Bassa plays well, the number's a lot higher than what I initially am going to have right now, because where I have the linebacker right now is a 7. I think Nick Bolton's really good. I think Drue Tranquill is really good. And I think Jeffrey Bassa is unproven. And then Cooper McDonald and Jack Cochrane are less than unproven. They haven't really done much at all in a significant NFL caliber way. So if all those guys play well, similar to how we started this video, if all those guys play to their ceiling, the Chiefs linebackers might be one of the best units on the team because of how important that middle of the field is. But because of how the D-line is looking and looking really good, because of how the corners look, and the optimism from Monster Lane finally being healthy, hopefully, he still is in a yellow non-contact jersey, which is not fun. I don't think we're going to have to worry too much about the linebackers. I'm hopeful. Very, very hopeful. But let me know your comments down below. But what do you think about the Chiefs linebacker room going into 2026-27? Make sure you like and subscribe for all Chiefs and Cyclones content. We will continue to roll out these position previews as we get prepped for the season. Make sure you stay tuned for our weekly podcast that comes out every single week, talking all things Chiefs, all things Cyclones, as we get geared up for football season, baby. As always, roll Clones. And how about those Chiefs?